Walking these streets, shadows fall, lost in a world, echoes call.
That water.
Searching for life.
No, having
Voices true.
20 minutes an hour. Yeah,
St. James
Okay.
I went out and I took my client out to dinner for lunch for 2 hours. We talked about God, talking he thought we were talking about So, welcome to our new podcast at St. James, where we're celebrating our 75th anniversary as a church here in Marion, Indiana. And to do that, we're interviewing members of the congregation. So we're getting together to do that. And today we're interviewing Jerry and Nila Whitton and about their experiences here as members. What roles have you guys played here? What positions in that have you had since you've been here?
Well, I've been on the fellowship committee for quite a while, and I come to the ladies' meeting where we make blankets for cancer patients.
Oh, yeah.
And myself and Karen Key started the barbecue event that we have yearly. And that might be about it.
Oh, okay. But you're involved in a lot of stuff. I mean,
Was more so then, too, than recent.
Yeah.
When I first came here, I told the pastor I didn't want to be an elder of the church. I didn't want to know about people's lives because at the old church I was at, you learned too much about people. I didn't want to know that.
Oh, sure.
Because we're not perfect. I'm not perfect, but other people aren't perfect either, and I didn't want to know about that. But anyway, I became an elder, and then I was president of the congregation. I taught Sunday school, and right now teaching the men's Bible study.
Right. Yeah, and the elders here are like for life, right?
Yes.
That's the unusual thing about St. James. I mean, it's a good thing, but
Yes.
so once you're an elder, you're an elder.
You're an elder till you decide you can't be an elder.
Yeah, that's a unique thing I know when I came here that, oh wow, the elders are for life. But I mean, I think it works better because that way there's a continuous thing going on. Everybody understands what's happening.
A
So
few people several years ago kind of objected to that a little bit and wanted it to change, but
right.
really the congregation didn't want it to. So
Yeah, there's definitely some advantages to it. I think so. So on the topic of you guys coming to St. James, when and why did you come to St. James? Why St. James?
Well, we were members of Grace Lutheran Church in Gas City, and a lot of the members had moved, and a lot of them were getting elderly, so the congregation was going down in numbers, and so we knew that we better find some place we liked, and unbeknownst to us that we'd end up here because this isn't where we tried out. We tried out in Elwood, we tried out in Indianapolis, and just didn't go to church for about a year. And that wasn't right either. It just didn't feel right. So then we finally came here. And then Jerry can tell you his experience when we came here and knew that this was going to be the place. We were going to try out 3 places at our other church. And we ended up going to the Lutheran church and staying there, which neither one of us had been Lutheran in our life.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow.
in fact, we really learned through the Lutheran, it was ELCA where we started out, but really learned through the Lutheran church about the love of God. Typically, Nila was brought up in a Assembly of God church, and it was more about the hell and damnation, about the fear of God, about trying to be perfect yourself, and you can't be perfect, but trying to be perfect. So we really learned about the love of God, and we felt called to that church over there. I really did feel like we were in the right place. But like Nila said, the pastor left, and it was kind of dying. Matter of fact, the thing Nila always says she missed was babies crying. She didn't. There were no more young people, no more babies, no more anything. So,
Yeah.
So we had I was president of Habitat at the time, and we had an event for pastors out in Michigan, and Pastor Carlson was there, and I mentioned to him we were looking for a church. And the very next day, we came home, and he and
2 people, Joe Ellen.
Joel and Stoner, were sitting in our driveway waiting on us. and talked to us. Well, the funny part is when they came in, we had a dog, and of course the dog had made messes in the yard. Joellen stepped in it, and so most of the time we were there, Pastor Carlson was cleaning her shoes off while he was talking to us. But anyway, we did come here then, and the first time we came, we'd heard stories about Missouri Senate that we didn't like, but
Sure.
but a lot of them weren't true. But anyway, when we came, Pastor Elvis Hawker at the time, who had been an ECL pastor, had also started here. Well, he was sitting on the aisle when we came and we went up to communion. He just reached out and tapped me and said, "You're at home now." And for some reason, I just knew that was the truth, that
Oh, wow.
that we were in the right place at the right time. So it really did feel like we were called here then.
That's
And
great.
we've been here ever since. So.
And one reason that I said, well, I'm not going to St. James, because at our old church, they had said, they heard or knew, I don't know, that nobody could take communion unless you were a member of that church.
Oh,
And so my idea was, well, if we can't take communion here on earth, how are we going to live together in heaven? It didn't make sense to me. So we finally gave in and decided to try it. And when we did, like he said, we knew that this is where we should be second time around.
yeah. I mean, I think I know that's kind of our family was too when we came here. Is that everybody was just really friendly, and it felt very much like at home. I mean, from day one, even before we took the call here, by the time we left, it was like, yeah, this is pretty obvious, you know. So
where I'm called to be, where I should be.
right. So that's pretty cool.
We tried other churches out besides Lutheran, but none of them really felt right. I mean, it just didn't. We just knew we weren't in the right place, and
Right.
yeah.
So how long have you been here then?
Since 2004.
Oh, so okay, 20 some years then.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I still at times feel like we're the new kids on the block, because everybody you talk to has been Lutheran since they were born,
I
except
know.
us. But and it caused some tension in my family, because they didn't think I should be a Lutheran, I guess.
Oh.
They were from Assemblies of God, and I'd been not baptized, but dedicated there and grown up there all my life. And I had good training there too, so
Sure.
I'm not knocking them at all. But it took a while for my mother to come around, and so she did, though, and would go with me once in a while to a Mother's Day thing or something like that. But I told her it was just like a loaf of bread. You could go to the store and there may be 50 kinds of bread, and their ingredients are basically all the same. They just have a different wrapper on them.
Right.
So that's how I feel about the churches. There's a different sign out front, but they still believe in Jesus Christ.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what matters.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly.
After we were here, probably 5 or 6 years, Paul and Delva Lang, who were members here,
Oh, yeah.
they always had new member dinners for people. Well, we'd been here about 5 years. We were invited to a new member dinner. That was all right. They were trying to be nice.
That's
As a matter of fact, Paul would be one of the people in the church that really I would look to as a great Christian man that I looked up to, and he was.
Yeah, he just recently passed away.
Yes.
Yeah, both Paul and Delva.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were special people. I just briefly got to know them and visit with them, but yeah. Well, that's kind of the next question. What are some people that have had a big impact on you besides the ones you've already mentioned?
Besides Paul, I would have to mention Edna Cardwell.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I ever talked to her, maybe spoke to her, but she was always in church, always there. Her kids and grandkids were always there. She'd come in, even when it was icy or she was on a walker, could hardly walk. Edna was always there. I always looked to Edna as she's got to be a faithful person to do that, because she was just one that was, you'd always look over there and there's Edna, and you'd maybe feel a little sick or something and think I shouldn't go to church, and there's Edna. So Edna, I would say, would be one that I looked up to, and Paul. Yeah.
Ditto.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Although I'll have to say, Barb Strasser just amazes me. She's 92, I believe.
96, I think.
96.
Sorry, Barb, I forgot your name.
When you're that age, you can brag about your
Yeah,
age.
exactly right. Yeah.
But she is so faithful and comes by herself and drives. And she's gone through so much in the last few years that things that I don't know how you go through them. But when we go up to communion, usually she's on one side of the church and I'm on the other. And we get up in the communion line about the same time. And she always reaches over and pats me or holds my hand or something. So I look to her and think, you know, when I get that age, I'm not sure if I'm going to still be going or not. But and she's always smiling. And
Yes.
she's just a nice lady. And her little granddaughter, one day I was coming out of Sunday school class, coming through the gym, and I was on a walker. And she is only maybe 5 or 6, maybe just 5. And she came running up to me and she said, "Is there anything I can help you with?"
Oh.
And I thought, this little tiny tot, I'd smash her if I'd fall on her. But that shows that she was brought up to help other people and to check on them. And her mother and her grandmother and her great-grandmother.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Yeah. So what are some events that kind of stand out throughout the history of funny things or anecdotes that stand out about St. James when you've been here?
you want?
Oh, well, the funniest thing was probably what I mentioned a while ago was when I first met Pastor Carlson and Joel Stoner.
Yeah.
But one event that I do remember as president, we paid off the mortgage and burned the mortgage. So that was a big event at that time.
Now, when was that?
Oh, I wish I could tell you. I was, let's see, I was president for 2 years right before Tom, so it had to be during that time.
Okay, so fairly recently.
Yeah.
Then. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw the picture of that out there.
We had the Feed My Lambs used to be to pay off the mortgage. That's what people gave the Feed My Lambs for. Then we paid off the mortgage. That changed. We had to change what that meant.
Oh,
But,
okay.
yeah, so it wasn't too long ago. But
That's
we did burn it up. We burned a fake one really up. And several people that were part of the original council were up there. I think Mike Klein and I can't remember who, but were out there to do that.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive because, I mean, for a church to not have that kind of debt because most have. I mean, sometimes I hear how in debt some churches are, and it's like, wow, that's how do you even pay that? But it's definitely an advantage not to have that. How about you?
Well, I think the thing that thrilled me the most was we had a meeting at a coffee shop with a bunch of ladies, and they said, Margaret Smith said, we need to have some kind of fundraising thing to do. And my friend Karen whispered to me, she said, you want to do something? And I said, as long as we don't there's a certain thing that goes around town that everybody uses for their fundraiser. I said, I want to do something different, something that they don't say, oh yeah, another one of those fries. And so then I said, let's do a pulled pork, because we'd tasted the Covered Bridge Festival pork event they had, and it was so good. And so I through some friends of mine, contacted the people that do that, and they said sure, they'd talk to me. So Karen and I went over there, worked it all out, had no idea how many people might come for the first time, had no idea how much meat to order because we didn't know how many people. And the first year I think we made $93. And this past year we made $5,000. So it's been very profitable, and we've had other people ask who we got and how we did it and all that, probably from other churches, I don't know. But they're very good to work with. The food's very good, and it's been very good for our church.
Yeah, and I mean, following up on that, just we're both in Kiwanis, and a lot of the people in Kiwanis are in various organizations, and all that money you make, you give to
Yeah.
agencies
Yes.
in town.
Yeah.
So it's not,
We
St.
don't-
James does not keep the money.
No, no.
And so I know we both had people walk up and say, hey, thanks for the $1,800, the $2,000. Like, and I remember one time, first I was like, well, who gave you that? It's like, well, the women gave you that. So I was like, oh. So, I mean, that's a real witness in town about the faith of members of St. James, particularly the women who do that. It's talked about. I mean, it's a great.
Matter of fact, I'm not
Great
really
event.
too much for fundraisers that are for the church. That
Right.
should come from the heart, I think, come from people, from giving, from thankfulness. And,
Yeah, and I would say that pretty much the fundraisers that are done here do go to serve the
Yes.
community.
Yeah, they
Oh, yeah.
We do some fundraisers to raise things for people to go on trips and stuff like that, but there's a lot of community outreach
Yes.
in this congregation to do that.
yeah,
So,
there is. There is. I would have to mention the other thing that were impressed us when we first came here. Of course, not everyone's perfect, but people don't talk about other people. I mean, there's not a lot of gossip that goes on. There's some, but there's not.
right.
It just impressed us that this seems to be a place where people aren't so critical of each other.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's one thing we noticed as well, that people do tend to put the best construction
Yeah.
on.
And the members here are so good to the other members. Like when we were both down,
Oh,
people delivered food.
for a year.
I don't know, a year.
Oh, yeah.
And
Wow.
good stuff and a lot of stuff, and they always wanted to do more. We finally said we don't need any more, but they were all willing and drove to our house and brought it, and it was just amazing.
Wow. Yeah.
Mike, Elna, first of all, was kind of responsible for a lot of that because we had meals almost every day, more than we wanted, really, more than we could eat.
Yeah, more than we could eat.
But I mean, it just kept coming and coming and coming. But as a church, but Mike Klein, having heart issues before I did, knew that at the hospital they said you should have almost like 10 white washcloths to wash with and ivory soap.
Oh,
And that's what you cleaned with, and you're armed with one washcloth, your chest with another, all that. And so he brought me white washcloths and ivory soap.
oh my gosh.
So I was really, and he was an encourager, like a lot of people are here, but he was an encourager. Like, I've been through this, you will get through it, it will get better. And he was right, but at the time I didn't know that.
Sure.
But anyway, that was a perfect gift, a perfect thing for
Yeah.
him to think of, to think, this is what I know they've told you to do, and here it is.
Now, I remember you guys talking about that because that wasn't that long ago. It was like a year or so ago, right?
Yeah.
That you were part of the Zipper Club. Is that what you
Yeah,
call it?
Zipper Club.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you got me bad.
Yeah.
Zipper's right there.
Yeah, because you guys were pretty close in time with both
Yeah.
having heart issues.
He was just
and-
kind of was healing when I was just starting to heal, so he knew what I was going through. So
right.
yeah, his timing was perfect.
Wow.
Not his heart attack, but
No,
his timing
those are
encouraged
never
me was perfect.
Yeah.
You know, the thing,
But so many people did.
when we knew that we were going to leave our church, and anybody that went to Grace Lutheran will tell you there's nothing like it, because we're from, I think, 5 different cities, and so we only see each other on Sunday. And so we always had a fellowship hour after church and ate together. But I was just dreading starting a new church, getting acquainted with people and knowing who wants to talk to you and who doesn't. And I told Pastor Carlson the first night they came to visit us, I said, you know what? I wish it was 5 years from now, because then I'd know everybody and you'd feel like it was your friends, because we felt like a family. It was a small church over there, and there weren't that many, and it just felt like one big family getting together for a reunion. But when we came here, we still found the love and the warmth that we knew from over there.
She had her car accident, which caused her leg to. She was really laid up for a year, and people came then to and brought food and cards and came to visit and all that type of thing. Just like when I had my heart attack and she was not well, the same thing. But we really knew that all those people coming and helping and calling and giving us food was really God reaching out to us. We knew that it was God through these people, working through all these people
Right.
that were responding to His called to really help us. And we knew that, and it was comforting. And matter of fact, Nila's doctor told her that's what helped her heal was
Oh,
having friends and the positive attitude and the prayers and all that. That really did help her. Her leg wouldn't heal, but it started healing.
right.
And he said that was probably what caused it.
He said something to us too when I was in the hospital about you two have more friends than most people or something like
Well,
that.
we
You know,
had
he
a
said
church.
there's always somebody here, and I kept track every day, not because I wanted to. I was just wanting to send thank yous and so on. And we had I was in the hospital a month, and there was over 100
Wow.
people that visited, and it was kind of depressing being in the hospital that long. But since Jerry and our family members could come and see me, and then church people would drop in too, even if it's just, I had one lady that called me every day. I was in there, and we'd only talk maybe 2 or 3 minutes, but we talked every day. She'd call me.
Oh.
So it's your Christian friends like that and your church fellow members that help you through a lot of things. But like Jerry said, it's God leading them to do that.
Right.
I feel that strongly.
Yeah. The fellowship of the believers. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's just a real biblical principle, and it works, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it does.
It does. It's very important.
Yeah, yeah, and even the doctor recognized that. I think he's Lutheran actually, but he came here once, but he didn't really come to church here. But what's his last name? Dan
Edwards.
Edwards.
Oh.
Dan Edwards, Dr. Edwards. He's an orthopedist, but
Oh.
he retired and came back. He works for Marion General now, but
Oh.
he's been all night working on her leg.
Wow.
Said he says this isn't true now, but he told us at the time he stopped for pizza and then went back to work on her.
I thought he probably did. As long as he said I was the patient with the most hours in surgery that he'd had. So
Wow.
I forget what his occasion was coming here, but what did he come?
somebody was getting married and he was playing the organ or
Piano.
something.
Yeah, I think so. But
Well,
anyway, he's the one that said he recognized that, the fellowship of the church and the people on the cards and all that really helped her leg to begin to heal.
Sure.
yeah.
So, what are some significant, changes that have happened through the years in the church?
Changes here
Yeah.
at this church. I don't know. One thing of course, the longer we've been here, the more friends we've made.
Right.
I mean, we become closer to people in the church, get to know people better. But as far as the biggest change we had, I guess, is when Pastor Carlson left, and we had a whole series of temporary pastors that
Sure.
some were good, some were not so good. So
Yeah.
it was really good then when we got you, a permanent pastor that came
thanks.
that we liked. But that was a rough time, really.
Sure.
It was,
The transitions always
Yeah.
are. That's
And also, it seems like since we've been here, women started being readers
Oh.
in the
Yeah.
pulpit.
yeah, that's true.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. And they do a good job of that too.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
It's I always say that's there's a difference between reading and reading out loud, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it's definitely a different skill. It has nothing to do with an intelligence. Some of those intelligent people I've known are not good readers when it comes to reading out loud,
Mhm.
and so yeah, but yeah, that is significant change.
With each pastor, we have had a few changes in the service, how it operates, with the
Sure.
elders or with the women reading and those type of things.
Sure.
One thing we noticed with, I can't think of his name, the one pastor that was here the longest, I think. But anyway, he didn't wear a sash, he didn't wear a belt. And he said, "Oh, you
censure.
Censure. He
Yeah.
said, "Oh, you don't have to do that. That's just style." He said, so he didn't wear that, but we all noticed he didn't have it. He's the only one that never wore it.
That's true. I see guys that don't do that. I just always have. I don't know why. I feel it keeps the stole in place, I guess, more than
Yeah, I
anything
would
else.
think
But
so.
I don't know.
I
Yeah.
told him he's going to fall one day with his because he doesn't tie it tight enough, and so it's slipping down. I said, that's going to fall to the ground, you're going to fall with it.
Oh man.
That's as far as changes. That would be the only changes I know of were changes in style of
Sure.
worship. Or we used to do elders used to do the prayer
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
things like that, which are different now. But I mean, nothing
Right.
major. Just
Oh, okay.
Well,
little changes.
one thing, our school closed down.
Well, that's right.
Oh
That's
yeah,
right.
the daycare.
Yeah.
Now, when did the school open? I mean,
When did it open?
It was
Yeah.
open when we came here.
Yeah.
oh, so it was open for quite a while
It
then.
was
Yeah.
open in 2004. We came. It was open
Oh,
Prior
okay.
to
and
that.
going strong. But as other daycares in the town opened up, it became smaller and smaller.
Well, our grandchildren came before we ever started church here
Yeah.
once to the daycare
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, daycares are kind of the industry, as I noticed over the years. My previous church became a dog-eat-dog
Yeah.
world. Really did. Highly competitive. For a while, there weren't enough daycares, and there were way too many daycares. And
Yeah. Well, there were several daycares, and the state regulations became stricter and stricter, so you had to hire more and more people. We were losing money pretty big time, so we
Yeah.
just finally had to close. It just wasn't, not that we had to make money, but we couldn't lose that much money either.
Right, right, exactly. So, how has St. James impacted your faith walk? I mean, how has that made you stronger in your faith? And
Yes.
Well, I think
Yeah.
the Lutheran faith in general taught us to really love the love of God would be the biggest thing. I mean, there is hell, but the love of God is so strong that we can be so thankful for that. I think that's what we learned through the Lutheran faith in general. Here at the church, we've learned it through the people of St. James. I mean, really, the love of God is through the people. I mean, it's just amazing, really, at times.
yeah,
And if you've been through a situation like we have, I mean, you see it more, I guess, but it's
Right.
really just an amazing thing.
yeah, I mean, I've heard when people have come from other backgrounds, that's one of the things they notice is that there is that emphasis on the gospel
Yes,
and forgiveness
yes.
that is kind of mixed up with the law in a lot of other church bodies, I think,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there is that
It
difference.
is a big difference. Matter of fact, some friends of ours had invited us to Grace Lutheran when we first went there, but we had talked a lot about religion and stuff like that, and it just kind of felt right from the beginning when they
Sure.
started talking about the Lutheran faith. The world needs a Lutheran faith. The world needs to know about the love of God the way
Right.
the Lutheran faith teaches it. Not that there's not the law, there is.
Right,
but,
right.
But if you don't teach both, I mean, then you just have hell and damnation, and
Right.
that's fear. Just out of fear, you think, I better be perfect. I better not go to movies or cut my hair. Or
Right,
all
right,
those
yeah.
rules.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
That was almost a relief becoming a Lutheran because I thought you had to be perfect.
Oh,
And I didn't stop and think there's only one perfect person.
Right.
And we aren't expected to be, completely sinless 100% of the time.
we
But
can't.
that was the biggest eye opener for me when I joined the Lutheran Church. And the teaching was easier to understand, or I don't know what you want to call it, but it felt right and things added up okay. But I didn't know why I didn't know that before.
Oh, yeah.
But it was showing me that we're all imperfect and we can't be perfect all the time, and so to me that's a relief.
Yeah.
A pastor that we remained friends with, but he was pastor at that Assembly of God church. But he left the Assembly of God churches and started a church down in Atlanta, which we've visited a few times, and we're friends till they died. They've since passed. But he said that he regretted being a church of rules, of being a church of don'ts.
Oh,
That's what they taught. Don't do this and don't do that and don't do this. Not do this and do that.
right.
Not be thankful. Not be. It was a church of don'ts, and he said he always regretted kind of teaching that
Oh.
way.
And he had a little saying that he quit majoring on the minors
Oh,
because when I was a kid growing up, I mean, I was a teenager. They didn't believe in a lot of things that we did. And a few years later, when we went down to Georgia to see him, they were doing some of the same things that they told us that
Oh.
we shouldn't. But they were big enough to say, yeah, we were wrong, and we're sorry we did that. But
it's interesting.
but they said they weren't majoring on the minors anymore. And but like I said, now when we were kids, we went to Sunday school every Sunday, and we did learn the stories in the Bible and what certain things
She did.
happen,
My
like
parents didn't go to church.
Oh, okay.
like Noah's Ark and all that sort of thing.
Sure.
So I give them credit for a
Oh, yeah.
good beginning.
Yeah, teaching. Yeah. So, what hopes do you have for St. James' future? I mean, what would you like to see it accomplish or do?
I would like to see it grow and not fold up and be another community church. It just seems like, and one of our sons goes to community church down south, but they have good things in those churches too, and we've gone to several and we enjoyed it. But I just would hate to see the Lutheran faith fade away, and the Methodists and the Baptists and all those things that have always been going on.
Right.
And I think things are bigger in community churches, so you're not as much a part of it, I don't think, as you are in a smaller church. But yet, I don't want this to get so small it would just fold up.
Right.
So that in between there somewhere.
We used to go to a lot of Gaither concerts and really enjoyed those.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
The music was just great. We love the music. In contrast to sometimes Lutheran music.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Jerry?
Well, you don't want Nila to talk about that. But I told her, well, you have been picking out songs that are a lot more singable than.
Oh, yeah.
But she's used at the Assembly of God Church. I mean, they sing the same things. She'd know page 56 is
Oh, yeah.
"Power in the Blood" or whatever.
Right.
But anyway, where was I going with that?
Oh, about the music and
That
where you want to see the music go, or
Oh yes, the church. I want to hear kids. I want to hear kids crying. I want young people to come. I want to grow the youth part of the church. The young married couples part of the church is going to be the future of the church, really.
right.
Because we'll die off, and what's left is will be the new people coming up. So that's where we have to be, I think,
Right.
and that's where I'd like to see the church to continue to grow. And I think it has some, but it needs to continue to grow that area.
Sure. Good. Well, is there anything you wanted me to ask you, or anything else you had that I didn't ask you and that you wanted to share?
Let me see here. I just like our church. I could never be happy, I don't think, in another church. I like the Lutheran faith. Never knew anything about it until we started going a few years back, and it's just where we feel we fit.
Yeah.
But and
Like all the opportunities offered here at the church. I mean, I think there are a lot, but whether we make to all of them or not, I mean,
Oh, sure.
there are a lot of opportunities for people to join in and do things or be involved, or not just social things, but growth things like Bible studies and so forth, and the men's and the women's and the Wednesday night services and Advent and Lent and all that. There's always kind of something to kind of keep you involved with, really reminders of who God is in your life.
Yeah. That was one of the things we noticed when we got here, was that, not only was there a lot of stuff going on, but a lot of it was lay-led. I mean, lay people were leading. It wasn't there wasn't, now you're in charge of this. As a matter of fact, I kind of joked with Darla, if we've been here a couple of months, I'm like, I'm not quite sure what the pastor does around here, because it seems like everybody does all stuff. It's like, which was for me a relief, because, every congregation's different, but I'd been in congregations before where I was making the newsletter and fixing the copier, and I came to a congregation where, I can actually just concentrate on my job and not everybody else's job.
Yeah.
And so
Uh-huh.
that was kind of
The kind of secret to growth really is to
oh
turn it
yeah
over to the lay. The lay,
yeah
I mean, support the pastor, of course, but
right
take leadership in the growth of the church. And
You know, something else we have here that draws people in from everywhere is the Nativity Walk at Christmas.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we also allow other people from other churches to be a part of that program. And I think that, and then with them telling their friends, and it draws a lot of people in, and everybody that leaves, I've never heard anybody complain, I don't think. But they're
Right.
always saying, oh, this was so good. They want to pay us money and it's free.
right
And they seem happy when they leave.
yeah. You know, it's interesting with last year's Nativity Walk, how that interplays. Because you're right, we have people in the community involved, and Pat Travis was part of it. She's been part of it for the last couple of years. But what was interesting was last year, which when she was here, not just this year, but even the year before, there became that we all got to know each other. And so there was a huge number of people from St. James that were then in the Easter
yeah,
pageant
Easter pageant.
that following April, because we started talking, and I mean there was like 7 or 8 of us. In fact, one of the guys joked with me. He goes, "Hey," he says, "Pastor Fred, are you trying to get your entire congregation involved in this?" And I said, "Well, I think so." But we had I think of all the churches, we had probably one of the largest contingents of people, and people just turned out, and I can say that, you know, talking to people that were in it, we had a good time together as well. So it became almost the Nativity Walk over the East pageant became like this social event for a lot of us. So,
Yeah.
We had when we had a choir, we had a lot of people in the choir in the Easter pageant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but after that, it kind of died out, I think, and then picked back down. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Pat Travis has a lot to do with keeping that Easter
Oh,
pageant.
probably.
You know,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Yeah.
sheer energy that she has and
Oh, yeah.
graciousness, and so
Yeah. She's always been involved in civic theater and all that type of thing.
Yeah.
She's good. She's a friend. We've known her for years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's I consider her a friend. She also sells Mary Kay.
No, does she?
She comes to the house.
I'm one of her customers.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that.
Although I used to sell it before I was even a friend of hers, and then she came on board.
Speaking of outreach, we mentioned it a while ago, but this church does reach out to many, many places and organizations. I like that too. I don't like we spend all our time on, I call it navel gazing, kind of looking in at yourself. And we need new carpet, and we need to do this, and we need to do that. But
Yeah.
really, we're looking out.
Yeah,
We have to take care of ourselves too, but we're looking out.
right. Yeah, this congregation does have a definitely a concern for the community around it.
Yeah.
You know, and not just 'cause some it's about Lutheran churches, but I've heard some Lutheran churches say, "Well, if they're Lutheran, we'll take care of them." It's like, well, no. I mean, I've actually heard that. I've actually heard that said. It's like, no, we'll take care of the Lutherans too, but we need to take care of all the other people out there that need to, through our actions, hear about Jesus in some way. So
Yeah, we're all God's children, so
right.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I just heard the other day that Burnt and Mitch helped Randy move. I mean, they called for movers, and he got help, and they got moved in. And
Yeah, and I mean, like Danny Sailors went down to Mexico and helps.
goes on those
He goes on that project over there. It's an outreach that he does. That it's quite impressive.
So anyway, we like it here. We have good friends here. We like the congregation. We like the pastor.
Oh, well, thanks.
yes, we do.
Pastor likes being here. So. Okay. Well, hey. Well, thanks for coming in today, and thanks for being part of this interview. And
Sure.
And we will see you next week with somebody else. So.
Walking these streets, shadows fall, lost in a world, echoes call, searching for life, voices true, St. James Church in the heart of the
You're not gonna hang out like that at all.
I don't know. It's Pepper.
Look, Bethany. It's actually
Share the gospel. Hear the call. That is what we do at St. James. Breaking chains, singing new names. Pushing through the night, feeling small, seeking the answers stall. Windows of gray, stained with hue. Well, mission shines through. Glorify God, nurture all, share the gospel, hear the call. That is what we do at St. James, breaking chains, singing new names. Heartbeats pounding, truth revealed. In the silence, wounds are healed. Faith in motion, spirits move. In this place we find our groove. In the dark streets, hope we find. Unity glowing, love unbind. Hands reaching out, lifting high. In St. James, we never die. In the dark streets, hope we find. Unity glowing, love unbind. Hands reaching out, lifting high. In St. James, we never die.